Welcome back to Next Shift with Rick Wagan and Stephen Cohen's my guest again. This is the post-game show after the Montreal Canadiens took back-to-back games over the weekend, this time against the Philadelphia Flyers, winning the game 4-3. It ended up a lot closer than I think most Habs fans wanted it to be, but it was a great outing by the Montreal Canadiens who were able to pull off the victory. And Montreal took the lead initially with a goal by Nick Suzuki on a nice little pass, I guess you can call it, from Kirby Dach. And then they got scored against a little later in the first period, even though it felt like they were taking a big part of the play in the first period. In the second period, Brendan Gallagher scored with a shot off of his knee that Mailloux took. A nice play in his office in front of the net. Cole Caulfield scored after that on the power play, squeaked in on the side, in the short side by the goaltender. And then Jake Evans got a goal to give Montreal a 4-1 lead on a broken stick pass by Brendan Gallagher. They kind of held on from there. It was a great second period, 4-1. And then in the third period, the Canadiens played definitely a more of a defensive style game and followed up with a couple of goals late in the period to make it interesting by Travis Sanheim and Travis Konecny. Travis Sanheim actually got the first goal as well, so he potted away 2 goals. All in all, it was a good game for the Montreal Canadiens. Definitely a great weekend, having won a couple of games like that. They were slightly outshot, 26-24. I think the biggest thing that I noticed, if you want to call a negative out, was the face-off circle. They were 62%. They were 38% for and 62% against. So they got beat up in the face-off circle. But all in all, I thought the team played very well. First line looked really good. Doc looks very comfortable on that line, so we're glad we got him back going. And so from my perspective, can't beat 2 wins. So that being said, Stephen, what's your take?
All right. Well, the last time I was on the show, it was, it wasn't looking pretty for the Canadiens after a 7-2 loss to the Rangers, and then they come in and take care of business yesterday against the Blues, and then today with I think even though they had to hold on, this game was really a nice game. I like. When you have a lead of a 3-4-1 lead, and that's a really solid defensive effort. We got 4 goals. I think when you score 4 goals in the National Hockey League, you should win most games if you have good, decent goaltending. And sure enough, they prevailed. It was on the road. And I have a lot of great things to say about a lot of good players over the weekend. So the first thing I want to say is, and this is a little bit of controversy, so we'll see how this discussion takes off. But I really like Kirby Dach on that first line. So the first line of Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, and Dach have number one. Dach is now he's producing. He looks like a different player, right? The slap on that line looked lethargic. I'm sorry. But, and I was saying it last year too, even though I think any player you put on that line is going to look good. But Kirby is a very talented hockey player. And I think that you're just seeing, a better hockey player and that line is clicking. And I think they should keep him on that line. That's just my take. And I know we need a strong second line and we need a strong center, but for the time being, I mean, look at what we've got. 2 wins. You got a line that's now starting to click. Cole Caulfield is, I think, 1 goal off the league lead in goal scoring. What else can you want? I mean, this is you can't.
He could have had 2 more tonight too. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Listen, you're not wrong. Okay, I think the Montreal Canadiens. I think Kirby Dach is playing into a controversy at the first line position. I think if they continue, and I don't know when Slav is going to be back. When he does come back, it will be interesting to see what they do. I mean, I think long term, the Montreal Canadiens want Kirby Dach to be their second center. I think long term, once you can find a fifth guy, which we don't have right now outside of those 3, right? Like
you have Laney. who's coming,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So
When Patrick Laine comes back, or something else happens, like we'll see. But again, I've been talking about him a lot. I can't wait till Demidov shows up because then the team will be interesting. But with that being said, yeah, I mean, I'm on the same bandwagon as you right now. Don't fix what's not, don't break what's fixed, or don't mess
exactly.
with what's working. And it's looked good for 2 games. It's only been 2 games, so you
Yeah,
got to let it see how it goes. I think when Slavkovsky comes back, if the first line is producing the way they have the last 2 games, whether
they
it's
can
next game
continue.
or the one after, they can't break it up. He'll probably see if they can fit him in the second line somewhere. And what that looks like, we'll see. I mean, you have Kapanen, you have Armia, you have even Newhook's playing
I
pretty good
mean,
hockey.
yeah. I mean,
So
Why not put Slav on with
with Kapanen and
Kapanen
Armia
with Kapanen,
and
and
Armia.
try something different. But I mean, that first line right now, I mean, it's magical right now. I
Yeah, I
really like
mean,
it.
I don't think they're going to change it until if unless they can't find us, unless it breaks up the second and third lines. Again, I feel like Newhook would fit nicely in the third line somewhere too. So all in all, yeah. Listen, I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that strategy. I think I always loved Kirby Doc. On that line, they played, a couple years ago on the line together, and just getting his confidence back is going to help, whether he ends up on that line long term or not. And I
So
think from that perspective, the Montreal Canadiens need to find a second line center. Kapanen is playing good hockey. Will he? He's a rookie, so I don't know if he's going to fit in a top
yeah,
six, short term. And then the question is, who's the next man up? All I have to say is the other guy that's playing great hockey, and I just have to call it out because I love the kid, is Jake Evans. Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah,
Jake Evans. I mean, listen, I know he's not a top six forward, but the dude is reminding me of Danault this year. He really is, almost better.
yeah.
Because he has more speed than Danault, believe it or not. So it's like he's a little smaller, but he's got speed, and the guy's just so smart. I'm just so impressed with
Yeah.
Jake Evans, and I'm so glad that he potted another goal tonight. So those, and Gallagher's playing great hockey with him, and Josh Anderson's playing, great. A couple mistakes here and there, but that's just me being nitpicky. Uh,
But remember,
the
he took a nice shot
no,
off
yeah,
the
he was
foot.
skating
He
well. He
wasn't
was
even
skating
supposed to
well.
play today, and the guy is showing grittiness and heart. And look behind me, you can see Josh Anderson, my boy. Um, so Josh, and I was going to ask you, Rick. So what is the second line? I actually think Jake Evans is the second line center
Right now
on
it
this
is, yeah.
team. I mean,
Right now it is.
you would think you close your eyes and say, yo, Jake Evans is the fourth line. But Jake Evans, Gallagher, and Josh Anderson right now are playing like the second line. They're
Hmm.
producing and they're getting the ice time. And listen, that the reason we have won the last 2 games is I think obviously the first line, but the second line have held their end of the bargain both defensively and offensively, and now you're seeing victories start to
Yeah,
pile up.
listen, you can call them the second line, and that's fair. They are the second best line in the Montreal Canadiens right
Right.
now, for sure. And they're, some might say they're providing as much value as the first line in some ways.
Right.
But that doesn't mean they'd belong as a second line long term, right? So what I'm trying to say is, if you want to be a playoff contender, you need a second line with an offensive group of players. And Patrick Laine's, a couple months away. Slavkovsky's going to come back.
Yeah.
Kapanen. You know who I feel like the Montreal Canadiens are wasting right now is Heineman. Right. I just don't think Heineman's in the right position playing on a line with Pez and Dvorak. I think he might be a player that can step up. Again, I don't know. The problem we have is we don't have a second line center when Doc is on the first line. That's the real problem. I mean,
Hey, all I can say is let's see the next couple of games. And Jake Evans scored 2 goals already in 2 games. I know it's a little far fetched, but remember Danault. If you compare him to Danault, right, who used to be the first line center on the Canadians, I don't know, not so long ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago,
with Gallagher.
with Gallagher, right? I mean, it's not so far fetched that Jake Evans becomes the second line center. I mean, let's just see how it goes the next couple of games, right? With these lines intact, if they continue to produce like this, I mean, You want to
Yeah, I
call
mean,
them the
they're going to
second
play.
line, the third line,
Yeah, it
but
doesn't really
it's all a
matter. I
matter
mean,
of give the guys a chance.
yep. No, I hear you. I hear you. I mean, all in all, the Canadians are playing good hockey this weekend, right? They had two good games. They played solid. Their goaltending was on. I mean, Primo didn't feel very comfortable at the end of the game, but he made the stops that counted at the end. Montebo had a great game on
Yeah.
Saturday. So really, from that perspective, that's solid. The other thing I want you to I don't know if you want to apologize or not, but I'll throw some kudos his way. Is Martin St. Louis on his interviews spent 3 days between Tuesday and Saturday practicing the defensive zone coverage, and you could see a difference. There was a different level of
Absolutely.
aggressiveness
Oh,
on the.
I
They,
wanna
they were
apologize,
yeah.
but I'm gonna give him props
Well,
that
you
he
you
needed to
called him
do
a
that.
peewee coach last week.
Yeah,
You
I
called
hope
him,
so. Like they played like pee wee hockey in the defensive
yeah,
zone.
they did.
And
They did.
listen, when you look at the shots on net, Rick, right? Today they gave up 24 shots. That's normal. I mean, if you're going to win a hockey game, what do you
Right.
expect from a goalie to stop like
20.
50 shots a night? So they
Yep.
needed to fix that. And I noticed I was paying very close attention to the breakout. And whatever magical stuff he's doing, they practiced it and it's working.
Yep.
So the last
No,
two
I
games at least.
Yeah, I mean the two things I saw this weekend that there was no lack of effort. You can see right from the first face off, the team
Yeah,
was trying hard. We know they're always trying, but at times it looks like they're kind of giving up on some plays or trying to be a little bit cautious. When you listen to his interviews, it's about being aggressive in your defensive zone. And so when I think of the word aggressive, I think of
yeah,
effort and pushing the play and not sitting back and letting the other team dictate the play. And that's what they were doing. If you think of Gallagher or you think of now Evans and even Josh Anderson in the offensive zone, they've always been thought of guys that are just pests in those ends. We just didn't have that style in our end. And I think that's where the Montreal Canadiens have improved and worked on. And that's what he said he was going to work on. And he did. So, I mean, it's only two games. It's two great games. It's two great changes, I guess you can call it. There's still, work to be done. They're still a young team.
yeah.
They're still, they didn't do it against, St. Louis is a good team, but Philadelphia is not the greatest of teams. So from that perspective, at least they took care of business and they played a good
Yeah.
hockey game on a back-to-back, which, last year they were 1-11-1. This year they were 0-1 on back-to-backs. Now they're 1-1, so that's good. So they're already 500 on the back-to-backs, which is key. Yeah. So, I
And
mean,
they're
all
in
in all,
they're in a five-way tie for like the eighth spot in the
they're
playoff
there.
race.
They're in
So
the
they're
playoffs. They're
officially, if you want to call it, 10
in the
games in, we're
mix.
9 games into the season, they're officially a playoff contender.
Yeah.
So, which is what we wanted, right? Which is what the expectations were. So, I look at the season in 10-game increments. That's how I would properly judge the Canadians. So we're coming up to the 10th game. So we'll see where they are in the standings. We'll see how many points they have. And for me, I'd like to see improvement every 10-game stretch. Either stay the same or start to improve. And next thing you have a playoff contending team. So I
Yeah.
don't know what your thoughts are on that.
No, listen, I'm not gonna, I'm not, how do I put this? The Montreal Canadiens were 76 points last season. 2 games ago, the sky was falling and we were firing Martin St. Louis and they were 2-4-1. It's 2 games. It's 2 great games to win. I don't think they played great. I thought they played good hockey and they deserved to win both games because they had goaltending and solid scoring. Uh, you know, Next game is against Seattle on Tuesday. The game after that is against Washington. After 10 games, we'll see. But five. What is it now? They're three. They're three. No, they're 4-4
No,
and
they're
one, right?
4-4-1.
So they'll be. If they can get to 5-4 and 1, that'd be great. If they're 4-5 and 1, it's not the end of the world. And from that perspective, I'm looking forward to the rest of the year. Do I think they're going to make the playoffs? No. Do I think they should be in the mix in the playoffs until January, February? I do. The reason I don't think so still is because what you said right from the beginning. The Montreal Canadiens do not have a playoff second line. I'm sorry to say it. Like Jake Evans is a great hockey player. I called him out first. I love the kid. Gallagher, great hockey player, been working his butt off. Anderson's been playing very good hockey. I'm not, I can't say anything negative about Anderson's effort and execution. But that's not a second line in the playoffs. Maybe one or two of those guys, but you need like a Kirby Doc, you need a Patrick Laine, you need those guys and Slavkovsky to play well. So listen, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying I would not put my money on it. Then again, I don't win a lot of bets, so I'm not going to do that anyway. But maybe I should. But maybe I should bet against them. Anyway, but from that perspective, the Montreal Canadiens are 4-1. They're in the mix. If they have to get above 500 to be in the playoffs, so they need to do better than these 10 games, or at least stay on pace with these 10 games. And from my perspective, I really like the progression that's been made in the last week compared to last Tuesday. And from that perspective, hopefully, and if Kirby Doc could be the hockey player he is now, whether he's on the first line or second line, right? Like wherever he ends up playing, if he could play hockey like this, the Canadiens are going to be a stronger team because we know Slavkovsky can do some things. Right. And Patrick Laine's around the corner, and you have Raphael Harvey-Pinard coming up potentially. You have Joshua Roy scoring a goal a game in the minor leagues right now and doing well. So you have players that you can help this team, and you have honestly Lane Hutson he's him. I mean he's going to be a superstar. Did you see
the pass he made in the third period to Caulfield?
Yeah,
I mean right, the pass to the right, and Caulfield just missed bearing another goal. But that was all set up by Lane Hutson. I mean, the guy is just phenomenal.
Yeah, we have a winner in that one. We have a superstar in the making. He's only in year one, and like I said again, I'm going to name him again. Demidov. I've been watching that kid. He's special. I mean, he's him 2.0. So 6'1", controls the puck, playing against adults in the KHL. Looks like the best guy on the ice every time he's on the ice. When he gets to the NHL, he's going to be solid. So not only solid. I mean, he might be like a Lane Hutson is as a rookie day one as well. So
you're looking at top six forwards, and you're worried about like having a good top six. So I look at it like this, Rick. So I look at it as Caulfield, Suzuki, Doc. Okay, let's say we keep them on the first line. Remember, Slav was the first line. So now let's say you drop into the second line, right? And you have him play with the two other best, producing players, and you've got a good top six. So, I mean, everybody's just thinking maybe Doc is just not meant to be a centerman, and he's a better wingerman. So I wouldn't call that a failure. I would call that if we can get like a top producing line that clicks, right? Let Slav, get his, earn his money on the second line. And then
I would be shocked. Yeah, I would be shocked if Slavkovsky comes back and the first line is producing the way they are, and he just switches it back. It's not going to happen. So I think you're right. I think they're going to give it a shot for a while. They're going to see what Slavkovsky could do on the second line, whatever second line it is, and once we see what happens, and it's going to be either Kapanen or Dvorak, but I think it should be Kapanen as the center or Newhook, right? They could put Slavkovsky with Newhook and Armia potentially as a second line and have Newhook play center. There's a lot of options out there that they have. So I'm not in disagreement that Doc should, at least for the short period of time, the short term, play on the wing. And maybe long term, like we said, we have Michael Hage, we have Owen Beck, and by the way, Philip Machar is tearing it up before he got injured in the minor leagues too. So who knows, right? Like there's a lot of players that are coming in the years to come that could play second line and third line center, and from that perspective,
don't forget about Laney, who's for sure.
Yeah, he's not six. Yeah, but he's a winger, right? Yeah, but he's a winger. I mean, where I'm going with that is he's a winger. He has only a year and a half left on his contract. We'll see how he does with the Canadiens. I mean, he should improve the team as well. I hope he's able to heal himself and be back by December, January, and hope the Canadiens continue to play good hockey till then. Now, listen, I haven't written them off. Definitely this weekend helped me feel more comfortable that if they could play that style of game in the defensive zone, you're getting Suzuki scoring and Doc making plays, and you're getting Caulfield just continuing on that train. Lane Hudson hit the post. He's going to put the puck in the net too. There's a lot of guys that aren't scoring that could score, and Slavkovsky, right? So all in all, yeah, they're a good team. They should be in the mix.
Just wait till Lane Hudson starts popping in a few, right?
Yep.
On the defensive side, Lane Hudson and Matheson should start. I expect each of them will score 10 to 15 goals this year.
Yeah, and
So
don't forget Gooley, too. Like, and
right,
so Gooley's not. They're doing this without Gooley, and Gooley also has a offensive side, and by the way, so does Jackeye. So, like, I mean, the team, and by the way, Barron could put the puck in the net too. So, like, the team is solid if they can figure out their defensive zone. And the last two games they looked good. Can the team continue on that pace? Can the competition not counter now that they see what they're doing, because it's going to be a different style? So that's the other question, right? Like, the book on the Canadians where they were kind of sitting back, and now we changed the book. The Canadians changed the book a little bit. So, other teams are going to see the tape and see if they can find different ways to attack them. And it might require another 3-day practice at some point. But,
I wanted to bring up one more point. So that a good point that I noticed is the play of some of the new defensemen that have, in my opinion, stepped up. So Struble, in my opinion, has stepped up. He had a lot of good scoring chances, plays very well in the defensive zone, and I think he's a welcome addition. I like him better than Barron. So when Goulet comes back, I would like to see Struble stay in the lineup. The other person that I really like, and I think he's young, he's raw, but he's starting to get really good on the defensive side and slightly on the offensive side, is Logan Mailloux. He's playing with a little sense of confidence. I like his passes, his crisp passes out of the zone. He makes a couple of mistakes, but the kid is big. He's strong, and you need that toughness in the defensive side. So I think with him, I think a nice pairing would be Logan Mailloux and Goulet and whatnot. So I don't know what your thoughts on that.
No, I mean, listen, I've said it all along. I feel the Montreal Canadiens' young defense core is outstanding, and I was one of those people, and I caught myself after watching 2 periods without him, was saying it's time to trade Matheson, because not because he's not good, but because of all these great players. But then when we saw him without Matheson, they just look inexperienced. The experience of Matheson is so valuable that you can't lose him. But the problem you're just talking about is who isn't playing well. Like, other than you mentioned one name, Barron, which I disagree with you. I think Barron is playing some of his best hockey of his career. Not some. He is playing the best hockey of his career before his injury. He scored goals. He's playing solid. He was playing top line minutes with Matheson, and he looked good out there. So from my perspective, I will say that the problem the Canadiens have is they have 8 to 9 really good defensemen. And so that's the problem. I mean, you have a Savard who's played great hockey this weekend. He actually wasn't playing great before this weekend.
Savard is like a stay-at-home defenseman. I have no complaints about Savard.
No, I mean, but he wasn't playing great. He wasn't playing great before this weekend. He looked slow out there. He was making a few mistakes. He was not getting back. He's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but I think
you need him in Matheson.
No, 100%, 100%. The question is, so I hear what you're saying. You're saying you put Goulet with Mailloux, you put Struble with, I guess, either Hudson or Matheson, and you put Matheson and or with Savard, or Hudson with Savard, and then who do you bench? You have Jackeye. You have the problem is the Canadiens have
for sure. Listen, I know that like Barron shows like glimpses of greatness, right? But he's making so many mistakes. And don't get me wrong, you look at the positives to the negatives, and I just don't. I like. Lane Hudson obviously makes mistakes. We saw a mistake yesterday. We saw several mistakes in the Ranger game, but his offensive capabilities are just, crazy. So you're keeping Lane Hudson clearly. I just think the odd man out, the Struble is just steady.
Yeah, I
He
agree.
also has a year under his belt of playing a full season with the Canadians, and he's getting better. So, and I like the upside that you have with Logan Mailloux with his size and his he has a hockey IQ as well. You can actually put him on the power play on the second power play unit.
Yeah, but
So I
you're saying all the right things. Sorry to cut you off. You're saying all the
yeah
right things, but so you're basically saying, if I'm reading between the lines, because you mentioned all those names, that Jack and Barron are odd men out in this lineup.
I
Because
think
you need,
Jack and Barron are odd man for sure. When Goulet comes back and you have to sit one person, it's going to be Jack, and maybe the coach will flip flop between Jack and Mayu. But I would like to have Mayu stay. I
the
think he's
problem,
doing
the
great
only
and he's going to
problem,
get better.
yeah, the only problem you have, and you could do it, is you're going to have to keep two defensemen in the stands because you can't send one to the. He's the only
Yeah,
player that you can send back to the minors, other than I think Struble. I
Struble you
might be
can send
wrong.
back. Yeah,
Yeah, but you don't want to do that because he's playing great hockey. So,
right.
so from that perspective, you basically can either send Mayu or Struble back, and or put two people in the stands like a Baron and a Jack guy and rotate Jack guy in with Struble or with Mayu or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But then you're down to one extra forward. I listen. I'm not totally opposed to your comments. I still think that Barron's been playing good hockey this year, and Mayu is playing good hockey right now. And the
Yeah.
question is he going to get more value at the NHL level? It might be. It might be. You might be right. Yeah. I mean, listen. They're going to have another tough decision, similar to what they're going to do with Slavkovsky.
These are very good decisions. Let me
Yeah, I
tell you.
mean, they'll probably, unfortunately, with the Canadians, there'll probably be an injury that solves the problem. But,
Yeah.
but let's hope not. And if the Canadians continue to stay healthy and the players come back up and show up after their injuries, we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see. So, all right, we've talked a lot about that. Anything else you want to chat about before we call it a day? Want to talk about next game against Seattle
Yeah,
on
let's just
Tuesday?
talk quickly about the next game. It's at home against Seattle. I haven't
Yep.
seen much of Seattle. I think we played them a couple of times last year. Um, so I don't know really what to expect other than I hope that we have the same kind of effort that we did tonight. I want to see a good defensive game. I expect Monty will be the goalie. Primo played great today in the first, 58 minutes of the game, or I guess 57 and a
I
half
don't think
minutes
he
of the
let in a
game.
really bad goal there. I mean, there was no bad goals that he gave up. It was just they pressed
That's
and
not true. The first goal was a deflection. You're right. The second goal I don't call was. I mean,
I mean it was a point blank shot from the slot
the
at
third
the
goal
hash
was
mark.
weak. The third goal was weak.
It
I
came
mean,
out. It was a
it was
shot. It was a bad defensive play. The guy was wide open in the crease.
right,
You
right.
can't really fault him for the goals. All in all, but anyway. So yeah, the Seattle Kraken last year did not make the playoffs. They're 4-4-1 this year, so they're in the mix like the Canadians. They have the same exact record. They have a gentleman by the name of Shane Wright who's playing on their second line, so we'll get to watch him closely. I'm sure he's going to want to score again. He scored his first goal of his NHL
I
career
know.
against the Canadians, and so he probably has that type of attitude. He's having a good year. Other than that, I mean, they have the regular cast of characters from that team, and they're a solid team. It'll be similar to a St. Louis type of competitor. I would say they're kind of in that same realm right now, and Monty will probably play in that. I would be surprised if he didn't. And they're probably going to come up with the same lineup since they're winning, unless Slavkovsky's healthy, and then they'll have a decision. Probably, maybe move Pez out and put Heineman down or something. Figure something out. I don't know how they'll probably figure something out in that regard
And
because
I imagine RHP
he's still a
is
month
very
away.
close. He's
Yeah,
very close. Is it a month
he's
away? Because I heard he's been skating for the last 2 weeks. So I don't think
yeah
it's a month. I think it's more like a couple of weeks away.
yeah.
So
I mean, he got hurt. He got hurt in late July, and they said it was about 3 months. So yeah, it could be 3 to 4 months. So it could be that he's back in the beginning part of November. But I'm not too worried about him right now because what did he have last year? Like 1 goal or 2 goals all year in 40 games.
I think last year's an anomaly. Look at Josh Anderson. Josh Anderson had 9 goals the whole year and like 20 points, and already has like almost half his production in like 9 games this year. So So
Do I want to call you out on that stat? I won't. I won't. I'm not going to call you out on the stat. He's not
what
halfway there.
he has 5 points or something like that. He does. He's got a number
Okay,
of
but that's
assists.
a quarter if he had 20 points. But
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
it's all good.
Listen, 5 points in 9
I know
games.
you
I
love
think
the
is a
guy.
pretty good. It's pretty
You
darn
put
good.
pictures on your wall of him, so it's all good. It's it's all good. So that being said, listen. I feel like the Canadians are going to play another solid game. I'm hopeful that they'll win. I'm calling a 4-2 win again. Empty netter scored by Josh Anderson, and so that's going to be my call. I don't know who's going to score the other 3 goals, but Josh is going to pot that empty netter. I can feel it. So hopefully he doesn't miss.
He may
Hopefully he
miss the
doesn't.
net on a
I
breakaway.
was going to say that's what I say. Hopefully he doesn't miss the net and it's icing or something. But I'm hopeful for him. So that's my call. I don't know about you. What do you think?
No, I listen. I'm gonna say we're gonna win the game, but
Yep.
I'm not gonna call a prediction. I will
Okay.
say I'm eagerly waiting for Lane Hudson to score his first goal. So
Yeah.
he's gotten so many chances. Very unselfish player, but I think he's gonna net his first goal in the next game.
All right, I
So
like that call. I think that the Seattle team is a type of team that you could probably do that against. So I'm not opposed to that call. I'm not calling it like you are, but I'll defend it or cheer for it when it happens. All right, well that's it for me. Anything before we go? We'll sign up.
no, this has been a fantastic weekend for the Habs. Go Habs, go! And looking forward to another good effort on Tuesday. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you very much, Steven. And that's it for us from Next Shift. Suzuki does not suck. We'll talk to you guys soon.